Hello everyone, and welcome to another royal reading here on Mad World Tarot. And I have the Light Seers Tarot on the tarot table today at the very high vibe deck, and we're reading on a person, a woman who was very high vibe. It's Ladies' Day today here on Mad World Tarot. The theme for today is two very royal women, the late Queen in this reading, and then Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, in the second reading of today. We're going to be looking at stories that have been floating around regarding these two women and their view of the Harkles, Meghan Markle in this reading and Prince Harry in the reading coming up. So I thought that the Light Seers Tarot would be a very appropriate tarot deck to use when reading on the late Queen Elizabeth. And before I get into the reading, I just want to say that I took some time off yesterday. It was quite a torrid week, and I felt the need to reconnect with myself and to my loved ones, and so that's what I was busy doing. That's why there was no reading yesterday, but I'm back. It's a wild and stormy afternoon here in the Western Cape. We're in the middle of a very long period of load shedding, and there is a thunderstorm going out, quite a wintry storm. As I lose my voice completely, I've got a very wet and traumatized cat with me. Fluffy was out sleeping in the garden when the storm broke, and I was quite worried about her for a while. She went into shock, but she seems to be doing okay now. She's got a little nest and she's recovering herself. So it's all happening here at Mad World Tarot. And the story that I want to read on with the Queen is the story that allegedly in her last days, during that last summer at Balmoral, she made quite a shocking statement about Meghan Markle. It was at a drinks evening, a drinks session. That sounds all wrong. It was at drinks before dinner. That sounds better. Drinks before dinner at Balmoral, when the Queen explained that Harry meeting Meghan was a complete catastrophe. We had the near catastrophe in New York, but this was a complete catastrophe according to the Queen. This was, as I say, at Balmoral, as reported in The Spectator. And she described Meghan as evil, and at this stage in the Queen's life, her health was in decline. She had only a few months left to live, and she seemed regretful, I'm quoting from The Spectator, about how things had panned out. And when she said that about the Queen, that she about Meghan, that she thought Meghan was evil, everybody's eyebrows hit the ceiling. And I'm still quoting from The Spectator. It was out of character for the Queen to use such a word to describe Meghan Markle, but she saw straight through her. It was a startling sentence to hear from the most forgiving woman on earth. This story broke just a few days before the coronation, and I want to have a look at it now. It's been on my to-do list, but many things have happened since then. I want to have a look at the Queen and her view of Meghan Markle. Her view then, why in particular she described her as evil, allegedly. What was going on, why she felt it was appropriate in that moment to say this, who heard. Her view of Meghan as it changed from when she first met her to that last summer at Balmoral, where the family was all very careful to gather. We saw that beautiful photo that Catherine took of the great-grandchildren, excluding, of course, Archie and Lilibet. And the Queen's view of Meghan, her influence on Harry, and all of those things. I'll explain. It's a Celtic cross that I'm doing, 10-card reading, but it's going to be slightly revised for my purposes. I often do that. I write the questions down. Universe knows what's going on, and we've got one more shuffle. Slow start to this reading. Apologies to those of you who like the cards out on the tarot table very quickly. Takes a while sometimes to get warmed up. Especially if you're Fluffy the cat and you were caught out in the rain and the thunder and very, very traumatized. So, poor Fluffy. Celtic cross coming up. And of course, as I lay the cards out, I have to remind you it's tarot for entertainment, for fun, and all my opinion or speculation. Read on energy here, archetypal energy. We can learn from archetypes, particularly as they revolve around the royal family, the archetypal family, and Of course, there is a disclaimer in the box below. Please read it and please form your own opinions about what is going on. And my little copyright card in the corner there until I have better things to show you. And of course, Mad World Tarot here. And underlying energy of this reading is the 8 of Wands in reverse, a blockage. Can also be an opinion that it is reserved and not articulated, because the 8 of Wands is very much about speaking directly, saying something, the word getting out, the news spreading. But this is something that was obviously a private opinion that was expressed to people. One expects family. We're going to check who heard. That was kept amongst the family for a while and then disseminated after the Queen's passing. But as I say, private view, something that she felt that she was unable to express directly during her lifetime and to the public, with that 8 of Wands in reverse. And also, the 8 of Wands is very positive when it's upright. It's very positive about spreading good energy. But in reverse, a blocked energy, toxic energy, you can read it like that. It's a fire sign. It is toxicity at a certain level, and that, in my opinion, would represent Meghan Markle. She is, of course, a fire sign woman. No disrespect to other fire sign women who may be watching this reading. The situation, the Queen's opinion of Meghan Markle, this evil business. Good Lord. You can't make this up. Really, you can't make it up. There is the devil. That is what the Queen thought of Meghan, and I'm actually really very shocked to see that card so directly show up here, and almost bereft of speech at this point. The devil. The devil is, of course, the liar. Somebody who is obsessed, somebody who suffers from addiction, somebody who is chained to certain behavior patterns. They can be narcissistic patterns, toxic patterns, sexual addictions, all of those things. The devil is a very, very, very unpleasant card, and it has shown up. The Queen allegedly said Meghan Markle was evil here in this tarot reading that I'm doing, that I'm reading and interpreting. There it is. And why in particular did the Queen feel this? Did the Queen express this? Did she believe this? Wow. I'm actually like fluffy a bit. I'm in shock and I might have to curl up in a little nest. Ace of Pentacles in reverse. It's about money. It's about everything is about money with Meghan Markle, according to this reading and according to this view. Ace of Pentacles is a huge money card. The Queen saw her as being somebody who was entirely motivated by money. What's in it for me? And she did allegedly say that she couldn't believe she wasn't being paid to go and shake hands with people who'd been waiting in the rain for hours to meet her. That she thought she should be paid somehow. Of course she was being paid. She got free accommodation in very luxurious circumstances, flown everywhere, clothes, jewelry, people bowing and scraping. If that isn't reward enough, then I don't know. But the Ace of Pentacles, she saw that Meghan was in on this whole thing for herself, for her own aggrandizement, to feather her own nest, saw this as a new money-making opportunity. The Queen knew everything about her, apparently, according to this energy. So let us now, let's move the little card there. It's crooked and it's bothering me. A bit OCD, but not very. Let's have a look and see why the Queen felt in that moment it was opportune to say something. What motivated her to speak out in this very direct and very shocking way at that moment? Why? 5 of Cups, she was filled with regret, with sorrow. As this article in The Spectator said, she seemed regretful about things, how things had passed, had panned out. Can't read my own writing. 5 of Cups is regret. is terrible sorrow, being very focused on how badly things had worked out. And the Queen was very patient with Harry and Meghan, allegedly, gave them every opportunity to correct their course, to come back if they wanted to. She never denounced them. All she said was recollections may vary. She was very quiet. She was very patient, 8 of Wands in reverse. She did not express her opinion and all that, never explain, never complain, all of that stuff. She was, but she felt it had hurt her in her last years. It caused her a tremendous amount of pain, and we saw that at Prince Philip's funeral. Of course, the Oprah interview coming out as Prince Philip was dying, which allegedly Harry and Meghan knew but denounced and claimed it wasn't so. And then her own health seemed to worsen quite radically as all of this was going on, the toxicity coming from California. A lot of people, ladies here included, allege that Harry and Meghan's behaviour sped the late Queen's passing, and that card would certainly confirm that for me. I'm finding this a very hard reading to do, I just have to say. And anyway, let's move forward. Who heard this? As I say, I've repurposed this Celtic cross. If you're thinking, where on earth did I get this question from? It's written down. It's me repurposing a Celtic cross just for this. Who heard? We got the Knight of Swords. Somebody there who was in a very aggressive mood, in a very combative mood. Somebody took this news and ran with it. Traditionally, it would be an air sign person. I can't off the top of my head think of an air sign person who would be there. The water signs might have been there. There's many water sign males. It would be Prince William, Prince Andrew, Prince Edward. They would have been there, but it was somebody. I'm getting a William energy from it, even though it's not a card that very often comes up as Prince William. But it's somebody who felt that they could take this and run with it, because the Knight of Swords is very swift moving. It's very direct. It's very clear in its targets and its focus. Reacts very quickly to things. It is quite militant, quite aggressive. Somebody who felt that they at some level had been authorized to go and spread this news, and or at a later date, somebody who had a pen at their disposal for some wild reason, and it's completely wild, and I'm actually not going to articulate it, but certain Prime Minister might come to mind. For those of you who are following my train of thought, I don't want to articulate it very clearly, but it's definitely somebody who is a good writer, a good pen, what's the word? Is it a pensmith? Anyway, so somebody who thought that they could take this news and work it up into something to tell later on. How did the Queen feel, going back into the past now? According to these cards and the energy that I'm reading, how did the Queen feel when she first met Meghan Markle? What was her opinion of her? Three of Pentacles. She thought she'd be a team player. So Meghan did manage to pull the wool over the Queen's eyes in the initial phases of their association. And we've heard this from other people, that some people, it took an instant dislike and saw straight through her. That would be Prince Philip, Princess Anne, according to the rumours and the speculation, Prince William, Catherine. Those people saw straight through her, but it seems like there were some that bought into the story that Meghan was selling with that Three of Pentacles. That would be the Queen, that would be Charles. They did somehow think, and I suppose they wanted to believe the best for Harry's sake, that here came a team player. She'd been very successful on cable TV. She'd been part of a big team for a number of years. She had endured that. She'd survived it. She'd done her part. And so here comes a team player. So it wasn't the devil to start with. It was the devil by the time the Queen was in her last days up at Balmoral. How did you view Meghan that summer? Because allegedly the invitation went out to California. Please come and stay with us. Bring the children. I'd love to meet the children. Love to spend time with them. No reply from California. They were organising their fall tour when they went to Germany for the Invictus Games and all the rest of it. How did you feel about her then? And her behaviour then? Three of Swords, broken heart. Again, very difficult reading for me to do because I'm an empath, I'm intuitive. I feel this energy when I see cards like that. My heart hurts. I get quite emotional. This is agony, anguish. treachery and betrayal. She's gone from the Three of Pentacles, a team player, to someone who has caused untold heartache and betrayal. So we'll move on. We don't need to dwell on that energy. How did the Queen feel that Meghan Markle influenced Harry? Temperance. And that's quite an interesting card because it's very, very positive. And she might have, at some level, thought that Meghan would bring balance into Harry's life. She was the wife. She was the one who allegedly calmed him down, his temper. When temperance is in play, you're talking about reining in your temper, being moderate in your behavior, reining in his excesses, his drugs, his alcohol, his tantrums, his difficulty. She thought, and I would say that this is early days because we know Five of Cups, we know what happened. This is where it ended up. This is generally, she thought that Meghan would be a positive influence on Harry, that she would curb all of those problematic behaviors, those toxic behaviors. Little known to the Queen at that stage, Meghan was actually encouraging them, allegedly, or her mother was helping with the drug side of things, and she was busy poisoning the well and whispering in his ear all kinds of toxicity, all kinds of unpleasantness. That is, of course, what we heard later from sources like Tom Bauer and so on. But in the beginning, that's what the Queen honestly believed. What pressure did the Queen find herself under as this story unfolded? And we got the Nine of Wands in reverse. She was under attack constantly. The Nine of Wands is about being under attack, about being embattled, about having to protect yourself, ring fence yourself, put barriers up, make your last stand. But the card is in the reverse. The Queen felt that she could not defend herself. She was exhausted. She was in her 90th, her 9th decade. Well on her way through it. She didn't have the energy to stand up to the accusations, the battering that was coming from California. She did not have the energy, and that's one of the problems that people kept going on about, was that somebody else needed to take charge of the situation. If only William, for instance, or Princess Anne, and we're going to look at Princess Anne in the next reading, if only one of them could be in charge, if only Lord Guyte could come back and take charge of the situation, because there was no one home in those last years. And I mean that figuratively. The Queen didn't have the energy. She was ill. The Nine of Wands is one of the illness cards in the tarot. It's very often someone who's bloodied and bruised with a bandage around their head. She couldn't withstand the assault that was coming. She hadn't foreseen it. She hadn't planned for it. And when it came, I think it was an almighty shock. Three of Swords, Five of Cups, the Devil. So hopes and fears that the Queen was going through in her association with Meghan Markle. What did she hope? What did she fear? It's death and rebirth in the reverse. It's very much a card. I think she did literally fear that this would prompt a demise, and it did. In my opinion, it prompted two, and that is my opinion. And as I say, people like Lady C and other commentators have speculated that this association did hasten her death and Prince Philip's death. She feared it. She may even have feared that outcome for Prince Harry. We're not going to go further than that. That's pure speculation on my part. But the death card is about change. And when the card is in the reverse, she feared that there wouldn't be change. She feared that this would just go on and on and on. This toxic situation with this devil would never end. That they had brought some energy, some force into the royal family, this devil energy into the royal family that they would not be able to shake off. The death card, it's called Death and Rebirth in this Lightseer's Tarot deck, is about endings and change and transformation. And I think she feared that the kind of change and the kind of transformation that would happen in the royal family would be incredibly toxic. It could even end the royal family, and I'm going to go as far as saying that. And the outcome of this rather grim reading, how did the Queen feel at the end as she was passing and even beyond from afterwards? Looking back, looking down, That was that awful day when Harry was held up because Meghan was insisting on going and having tantrums, and eventually King Charles, or was Prince Charles at that stage, had to say Meghan was not allowed, and Catherine had to say, well, I'm staying home, I'm doing the school run. All of that dreadful day when they were all held up and delayed, and they couldn't make it to Balmoral in time to be with the Queen as she was passing. So how did she feel right at the end? How did she feel looking back at Meghan Markle? Seven of Cups. And Seven of Cups is a cup of possibilities. It's the what ifs and if onlys I'm getting from the Seven of Cups. That if only things had worked out differently, if only people had chosen differently, if only people had seen other possibilities around them, and chosen more wisely. This one in particular, I think, if only he had chosen more wisely, how different things would have been. But because it's coming from timelessness, from infinity, from the great beyond, this energy, there is still this idea that there are other options, there are other possibilities, there are other cups that can be turned over, and better prospects in them. So there is still some level of, and I'm having to shout over the rain. I don't know if you can hear the rain, but it is pouring down at the moment. But there is some degree of, there may be better, there may be other, there may be possibilities that haven't been explored and that maybe should be explored. It's quite an odd card to come out as our outcome, quite mystical in this setting, very Neptunian, very spiritual, very, I'm almost getting a little bit of a telling off of don't judge, you don't know everything. So that's the Seven of Cups, that's your reading, and thank you for watching it, thank you for being with me and supporting me. I'm going to get on to the next reading now.